Welcome to episode 8 in my Workspace Redesign series. In the last episode, I made a small introduction to floor plan layout planning by showing you how I decide where to place the table in the room. In this video, I want to show you my thought process behind arranging the rest of the furniture in the room, specifically discussing zoning and finding the right areas for each function. We want to start with the floor plan we created in episode 6, the same floor plan we used in episode 7. I use an app called Procreate on the iPad, but you can also draw the floor plan on a piece of paper if you want to. The scale of the floor plan is 1:20, but the grid I'm using is not every 20 centimeter, it's every 10 centimeters. Okay, let's get back to zoning. The way I want you to think about zoning is perhaps like a sculptor might, in that you take a piece of rock and you start sectioning it out in various zones for the head, the arms, the legs, and the torso of a sculpture. Perhaps a human-shaped sculpture. And then those areas get subdivided into the hand, the forearm, the shoulder, and finally everything gets polished to perfection. It is a little bit like that for our floor plan as well, in that the natural walking paths in the room can subdivide your space into zones. Let's draw out these natural paths. For me, this natural path in the room will be between the two doors, all the way to the windows, along the windows, and back again. And to be fair, my natural path here is right next to the windows, but since we tend to place various pieces of furniture by the window, my natural path will most likely be a little bit further away. And so the way I do that is I just move the pen back and forth between these attraction points in the room, the doors, the windows, back and forth, and then my path would just naturally appear. This natural path also tells me that there will be no furniture pieces on this area, but next to it, inside the zones created via it. To make these zones more visible, you can take a red pen and make these big bubbles. And I'm going to give them alphabet letters so we all know what we're talking about. The biggest bubble gets an A, the second biggest a B, we have a C next to the door, and between the doors we have a D. So now that we have these zones, I want to overlap them with my goals from episode 1. Remember that in episode 1, I talked about my goals and what I wish for the space to be. Now, it's time to actually see where these goals could fit on the floor plan. Now, you may have just one goal for a room, but I have 4. So let's recap. I want my place to have number 1, a place for creative projects. Number 2, a cozy reading corner. Number 3, a standing desk. 4, a place for guests. Ideally, I want every bubble to have a goal attached to it, but depending on the space and the number of goals, this might not be possible. Some zones might have to incorporate more than one goal, and others might not be able to hold one at all. Let me just show you what I mean. In episode 7, we identified that the table would go in the middle of the room, which would be zone A. So I connect zone A with my first goal, a place for creative projects. Another zone that I can connect to a goal is my standing desk, which will be for sure in zone D. I like that I can open both of these doors and be in a kind of phone booth and work standing. Where should my reading corner go? We can do a similar exercise like we did in episode 7 and draw out the surface of a daybed and try to think about where we might place it. Typically, the dimensions required for a person lying down are 80 by 200 centimeters if this is a couch, but more likely it's 90 by 200 centimeters if this is a one-person bed. I don't have to decide right now if it's a bed or a couch or some kind of bench. I just need to create the space that is required for a person to lie down. And what I also can do is give this bed space a whirl on my workspace on my floor plan and see where it could fit in terms of size, but there are not many locations left. Because of its dimensions and because we already locked zone A for the workspace, the reading corner will only fit in zone B and probably closer to the back wall to allow for the natural path. It will also be close to the window, so I think this could turn into a very special reading corner. Now, number 4, a place for guests, is a tricky one because there isn't one zone that could fit it, and it will probably have to be divided between Zone A and Zone B. If I mean a place where guests can stay overnight, then I will need to figure out how I might make my cozy reading corner into a temporary, comfortable sleeping area. Or if I mean have them over for dinner, then I have to think about how my office table could on occasion become a dinner table for 6. So these are some things I need to keep in my mind moving forward. Zone C will not get a goal because it is too small, but it will provide a supportive function to the space. You will see more in the next episode. Alright, so we understand more about zoning and we have the location of 2 pieces of furniture. How is this going to work with the rest of the room? Where is the rest of the furniture going to go? We'll explore that in my next episode, and if you want to see the rest of the episodes in this playlist, click here.